Hey everybody, I want to show you all these Baofeng UV-9G. I especially want to show the owner of these radios how they work. So somebody was needing these programmed, and I've programmed them before. Said send them to me. I'll get it done for you. We're going to go over these things, and maybe, you know, like this will help some other people. I know this will help one person, but if it helps some more, then that's cool too. I just turned them on. I want to go ahead and start going over the radio. You know, you have your power on and off just like the regular Baofengs. Has like a little guard right here, so you're not accidentally turning it down or off. That's helpful. You have one push to talk button, and then these two side buttons and a top button. On the top there, if you press it, it turns on the radio, the regular like FM radio, and it'll turn it back off. If you press and hold the top button, it'll turn on this alarm. That's helpful if you're wanting to get somebody's attention, because not only does that alarm transmit on this speaker, it also transmits onto whatever frequency you're on. Whenever that arrow is on this channel right here, it's going to transmit on that channel. We'll go over that here in a second. Another little button tutorial right there. That side button also turns on the radio. If you press and hold, it does the alarm. I don't know why they doubled up on those two buttons doing the exact same thing. I was thinking, you know, it would have been cool if that could have done something extremely different, but that's all right. And then we have another button on the bottom. Press it real quick, it turns on the flashlight. Press it again, flashlight goes flashy mode, and then it turns off. And then if you hold down on this, it'll do a squelch. And I do like that for adjusting your volume. That way you know where you're at when you're listening for somebody. And then the rest on the back here, they have like the little swivel clip. I'm not a huge fan of it. I kind of like the fixed clip, but everybody's got their own personal preference. And then the drop-in action for the battery, 2200 milliamp battery, pretty good. Now let's go over what we're looking at on screen here. You have your battery indicator. It's somewhat reliable. I usually just charge mine every other day or whatever, because sometimes I've noticed that these battery indicators can tell you that you have, you know, 2 bars or whatever, but you've been using it for 5 days. I start wondering about it, you know, I don't know. The S right here shows that we're scanning between these two channels. We're monitoring those. I'll show you how to turn that off if you only wanted to monitor one channel. The H right here shows that we're on high power. And then this arrow right here shows that you're on this channel right here, that you will transmit on it. So we can change the channel by pressing up or down or manually entering. This is a 127 or 128 channel radio, so it's going to look for 3 entries. Like say we want to go to channel 5, we would press 005. I'm going to go ahead and do that.
005.
Now we're on channel 5, so we're going to transmit on channel 5 right now, because that's where our arrow is. If you want to transmit on channel 1, like I do this a lot of times, what I'll do is I'll have, the babies will have some radios and my wife will have one, and I'll have her on a certain channel, and then I'll be talking to the rest of the family on another channel, so that way we're not, you know, aggravating her. Not that she gets aggravated, but you know, she wants to just focus on what she's doing. I can hit the exit button, drop that arrow down, and talk to her, see what's up, you know, make sure everything's going good, and then I'll hit the exit button, come back up here, and then we'll talk the rest of the family and leave mommy alone so she can focus on what she's doing. Pretty cool feature. And I'm also scanning both of these all the time, so that way I can see if anybody's talking to me, whereas the other radios, like if I'm handing them out to the kids or whatever, they're not going to be scanning. I just want them on the one channel. To turn that scan feature off while I'm thinking about it, let's just go ahead and show you how to do that. So you hit menu, and it's menu option number 7. It's this TDR thing right here, and it actually stands for something I can't remember at the moment, but when you look in the manual, you'll realize that the TDR, it's really self-explanatory. It's going to represent what we're doing, where we're monitoring these 2 channels. So we'll go back to it. It went away. You hit menu again, then you press up or down to turn it off, and then you hit menu
Confirm.
to confirm, and then you just hit exit or you let it time out. So now the S has gone away and we're no longer monitoring these two channels or frequencies, and you're only going to transmit and listen to wherever the arrow is. If you want to listen to one, you just hit that exit button, bump it down. Now you're listening and transmitting on that one. Let me turn this other radio on and I'll show you
Mode.
a little bit how they work with that feature. So now let's just for fun say you're up here, your arrow is up here on 5, and you have somebody talking on 1. You're not going to hear it even though it says 1 down here. You're not paying attention.
Menu. Dual
and
standby.
scanning. So we're going to go back just like I showed you a second ago.
Confirm.
Turn it back on. And now your arrow's up on 5. You could be talking to like a third person somewhere on a third radio on 5, but somebody's hitting you up on 1. Now it's picking up. I'll go ahead and squelch it a little bit so you can hear it feed back. Now that we've gone over that, I want to show you some other stuff. We've got, like I said, you have the way to change channels. You can go up and down. You can press, manually entering them in. We'll go to
0, 4, 4.
channel 44 just for fun. So now I've put the FRS stuff in here. That's what I wanted to show you all also. So these are GMRS radios, but they can handle FRS as well. There's a difference between the two. The GMRS does require a license. They don't closely monitor it, and they're not super strict with it. I know I'll have tons of comments saying that you shouldn't do that, but I do it, and you know what? It's been okay. And if you're doing it, in an emergency especially, then I don't see anybody having a problem with it. Now, if you want to jump over on FRS, put FRS in these, FRS is the rule on that is you do not have to have a license. You can find people that'll say that you shouldn't do FRS on these radios because they're transmitting too high, but I haven't had any issues with that either. Like the deal with FRS is it's licensed by rule, so basically the general public can use it without getting a license. But you don't want to be getting in trouble, and with these radios you can transmit too high and get in trouble with them. So just use discretion, use some wisdom out there if you have it. The frequencies for these are obtained online, and you can also use the Chirp software. So what I did is I used the Chirp software to import these, and when I was hooked up with the little program cable. The far end of these is going to be, let's go all the way up to,
2, 2.
I put the weather channel, NOAA, on there so people can monitor the weather. You can't transmit on it. Listen, it just beeps when you hit the transmit button, so it won't let you transmit on that. So I mean, they have some guidelines here, even though some people will say, oh, you shouldn't do any of this, this is all terrible what you're doing. It is at least safe where they won't let you broadcast your own weather. Okay, so they are looking out for
0, 0, 1.
for a little bit of rules there for us. Back on channel 1, I'm gonna go ahead and shut this little review down. I think that's pretty much covered the gist of what I like to show about these radios. There's a lot of menu options in here. In the manual, you can go ahead and look all the menu options up and start investigating what you want to change on some of this stuff. I will say another thing that I changed. Let's go to it. I don't know the menu number by heart, but we're gonna go through here and look for it. So bear with me. I like to turn off that speaking little prompt thing. There it is right there. Okay, so menu option number 14. This is just my personal preference. You can go to Chinese, you saw English, or you can turn it off. I prefer off. I don't speak Chinese, and I just figure, you know what, I don't need the English either. I turn it off. That way when you're turning it on, when you're changing the channel, now just a little beep. Not too bad. You can even turn that off by going to, I probably passed it earlier, you probably saw it. I don't know the beep by heart either. So bear with me. We'll find it too. Yeah, it was way down at the bottom. That's alright. We're looking at them all. Okay, there's beep. Menu option number 8. I turned that off too. I like it quiet. Now I can turn my volume up. No beeps, no talking. I can change my channels. Okay, cool. I'm glad I'm still doing this and the video is rolling, because there's another thing that I forgot to show you. When you're programming these on the Chirp software, you can drop the power level down. Notice that L right there? We're going to go up to channel 8 and notice that H. So that's high power. That's the 5 watts. People have tested these and they are actually more like 4 watts, but you can still get about 5 miles out of them. I'm happy with them. And then on low, it's half a watt. So that's going to be better like if you're in close proximity with somebody. I like having a couple of channels in here that are on low power, so that way if we're just around the house, I'm not transmitting all the way to town or, you know, further out to where somebody else could hear you. This is like just a little privacy feature, in my opinion, to where you can talk to people close to you and nobody else really far away is listening. And then if you're stretching it out, you're wanting to talk to some people further away, you have your other channels programmed in to where you're on high power. That's just an option on the Chirp software that I wind up implementing. I usually have a couple of channels that we use excuse me, when we're around each other and we're close in, that we can be on low power. So I'm glad I saw that. Anyway, showed you how to turn off the speaking, showed you how to turn off the beeps, and I showed you how to scan between these two channels. And to throttle between those two, you just hit the exit button. Make sure your arrow is where you're talking before you transmit. And just play around with these things, get used to them. And that's the best advice that I can give on them. Alright, cool. Like I said, hope that helps somebody. Thank y'all for watching.